This is one of the most amazing arcade games ever invented. It uses three-dimensional holographic images. It's called Time Traveler. It's your basic arcade action game in which you've got to take on villains from various time periods from the Stone Age up until the 23rd century. What is astonishing about this is the most modern holographic technology is being used not in some serious medical application, but in a computer game. Today we'll show you some other, perhaps frivolous high-tech achievements as we take a look at the latest in computer games on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by Cardinal Technologies, designer and manufacturer of advanced personal computer systems and communications peripherals, including multimedia and graphics products. Cardinal Technologies, where computer products are designed and manufactured in the USA, and by PC Connection and Mac Connection, mail-order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh. And the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet, and it's hard to tell here whether I'm watching television or playing with my computer. Now, is this coverage of the Winter Olympics, or is this me actually skiing downhill? It's obviously me skiing downhill. Let me show you what else you can do with this wonderful game. This is the game's Winter Challenge from Accolade, and I've always wanted to try that ski jump. That always looks so exotic, so we'll go over here and train in the ski jump, and I'm ready to do it, and I hit go, and here we go, and let's see what it feels like. And I'm told you have to sort of stay in the middle, get up your speed as much as you can, get over there at the edge, jump up, and land. Oh my God, I didn't do it. Well, computer games obviously have changed quite a bit from the old days, and while spreadsheets and desktop presentations are nice, there are many of us who still find computer games one of the most wonderful benefits of the personal computer era. Today, we'll take a look at some of the best and newest computer games on the market. Now, one reason computer games have become so good is this marriage between film-style animation and sound and the interactive control of computers. There are perhaps no better practitioners of this technology than the wizards at Lucasfilm Studios in San Rafael, California.
Say Lucasfilm and you think of the latest computer technology, sophisticated animation and paint programs. But even at Lucasfilm, game animation starts out with the old-fashioned artists drawing characters by hand, because today's computer games have to look as good as the old-fashioned Disney cartoons.
Everything is handmade, unlike similar to the way the old animated adventure films were done. Every gesture has to be accounted for. And so the maddening thing about the graphic adventure is that in the text adventures, almost anything you could imagine or express with a sentence could happen. But in a graphic adventure, you can't do anything you can't show, and you can't afford to show very much.
This is the old PC version of the popular game Loom. But the new version being developed here at Lucasfilm will not only have better animation, but also sound. And that's the problem.
The disk space in terms of the art has become almost infinite as far as we know how to do. But disk space is still limited because of that sound. We're really increasing the amount of sound and audio that we have in the games because it's such a powerful medium of communication that we've never had before.
Another computer game that will feature state-of-the-art animation is the new PC adventure game, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. And since virtually every software customer will have already seen an Indiana Jones movie, the computer game experience has to be equally realistic.
A consumer looks for believability, because if you're going to have fun, you've got to one degree or another suspend disbelief. So the story has to be an engaging one, and to some extent a real one, even if the theme is a fantasy.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Great games evolve just the way all great software evolves, and two perfect examples are Wordtris and Earl Weaver 2. Here to show us these two evolutionary and revolutionary games are Gilman Louie, president of Spectrum Holobyte, and Michael Brook of Electronic Arts. First of all, it seems to me when we look at some of the games we're looking at today, you see the cleverest programming, the cleverest new ways of dealing with software problems Is that true in fact? I mean, do guys come up and solve problems in the game environment perhaps more readily than they would in the spreadsheet or desktop presentation environment?
Well, Stewart, I think you have to, because the product life cycles of these products are so short, oftentimes 6 months, that you have to push that edge. You're competing against other game companies. Games could take a year or 2 years to develop. You really have to be visionary on what the market is going to expect 2 years down the road.
Maybe the cleverest guys are really developing games, huh?
That's right.
All right, Gilman, you've got one great example here, which is the next generation from Tetris to Weltris to Wordtris, and it's a great game. Show us how you play this thing.
Well, Wordtris is a game that kind of combines the best of word games and Tetris. You can play it in a variety of different modes by yourself in a solitaire environment, play with or against a friend. You can play it across modems. Somebody in San Francisco can play with a friend in New York, or in a network in your office, and you can be sitting there
just what we
playing
need, a
games
network in the office,
to
right?
improve productivity, of course. Have a variety of different levels of difficulty, from children all the way to expert. I'm going to choose an advanced level.
Okay, you're brave.
I'm going to go to level B, and I'm going to play a 2-minute game.
Okay.
And let's go into it. My goal is to spell words horizontally or vertically, any way I possibly can.
And at least 3-letter words or more.
3-letter words or more, and if I get that magic word like clever on the top, I get a big bonus, and my well clears off, and I get some great points.
So, and that's sort of a wild card?
It's a wild card. I got
You
ran.
got a word, right?
There goes a word. And this is a great game. It's just lots of fun. It's very educational for our children because they learn how to spell.
All right, so it's really like Tetris in the motion and the action, but you're really forming words. It's a word game in terms of doing that rather than making shapes and forms. Now, it seems to me one of the great challenges of this game is how you dealt with the dictionary, because in real time, on the fly, you've got to access the dictionary, figure out whether it's a word or not, and move on. How'd you do that?
We actually had to have a team of programmers work on that particular problem because the dictionary was so large, it's 60,000 words, and it has to find every possible word that's on that screen in a fraction of a second.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, can you add to the dictionary, put in your own words?
Oh, absolutely. One of the nice features about the game is that you can add words, foreign language words or people's proper names, and whatever you want. And I can put my name in it.
Spell out Louis, it goes off
I
the
get a
screen.
bonus point.
Okay, okay.
So it's great.
Let me ask you about Crisis in the Kremlin now. That's the other great game you guys have. And there's a rather interesting story to tell about that while you were developing it, isn't there?
In the game, of course, it simulates every possible contingency. So one of the things that we were testing was what would happen if we played Gorbachev and we put in all the rules. And basically what happened was it predicted the coup. And we even got the letter that comes out of the fax machine that says, gee whiz, from the KGB, you have suddenly taken ill with the red flu.
Pretty good simulation. All right, show us how you play Crisis in the Kremlin, Gilman.
Well, basically you can choose from any different type of personality type, either ones that you've created or that's been pre-programmed into the computer. So if you choose Gorby and you start acting like Stalin, you're not going to get very far in the game.
Okay, so let's play Gorbachev here.
So we're going to go ahead and play Gorbachev. And Gorbachev comes on up, and we go directly into the office. And in the office, we have this make-believe center where it has a map of the Soviet Union and all the different Eastern Bloc countries. And countries will pull away to the west, or you'll have different countries succeeding, republics succeeding.
So what can we do as Gorby?
Gorby, one of the things that we can do is change the policies of the government. So I can go into, say, change the military posture in the world to an aggressive military posture. Now, of course, Gorbachev wouldn't do this. So let's, after doing that, go in and change the budget.
Okay.
I'm going to go into the military and cut the military spending. Something that Gorbachev did do.
Right.
So let's bring this down to 230 million rubles. And that's into the game now. And I can go ahead and say, let's play it out for 1 year. So I'm going to hit the advance. Letters and information pops up. It's January 1987. And we get a little letter from a friend. It's questions, subordinate reports, and your polls. These are little hints that tell you how well you're doing in the game. Pull up a fax. KGB reports there's some food unrest.
Somewhat realistic, yeah. Now, actually, one thing it may happen at random, so we haven't seen it, but one thing you do is tell jokes in here, right, to give you a sense of what the people are really saying?
Absolutely.
Any examples?
We actually have in the game all the different jokes that are being told in the Soviet Union. And the KGB actually monitors in real life all these jokes. That's kind of a hint of the political climate.
Yeah.
And these jokes tell you,
example.
You know, what's the definition of a cabbage line?
Yeah.
Soviet citizens waiting for the meat market. And there's all sorts. Here's some.
Oh, here's a couple of jokes.
Here's a couple of jokes. You know, here's the meetings. Where's all the meat next week? Where's all the bread next week? Where's exactly.
All right, I'm going to ask you to slide the keyboard over to Michael now. We'll go from sort of serious Soviet Union business to playing baseball with Earl Weaver 2. We saw Earl Weaver 1 a couple of years ago on the show. What's different about Earl Weaver 2?
Well, Stuart, we now have 256 color graphics and over 100,000 frames of animation.
Yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, sometimes it's hard to tell whether you're watching television or watching a computer game here. Show us some of the features of the action here inside Earl Weaver 2.
Well, we have 9 cameras, mobile cameras around the stadium. We have a television director built into the program who's choosing the most appropriate camera.
Yeah, we just saw the angle cutting from behind home plate to first base and so on.
We also have an instant replay feature built in. Let me show you that on this play. That was a line drive into left field. Here's the instant replay. Mike Moore's on the mound pitching to Will Clark. He lines the shot into left field. I can freeze the frames right now, so this is slow motion.
So
you see the ball bouncing in the outfield. I can also zoom in.
Let's see.
So adjusting the cameras.
So you can just get a tight shot of that particular sequence, yeah.
So you can actually play television director with this game, and now I watch the rest of it.
Watch the rest of the play there. Okay, now you said you also have statistical features in here you didn't have in the first Earl Weaver. Show me some of that stuff.
To do that, I have to leave the game.
Okay. And so this is the stuff that would be on what you call a commissioner's disk.
Yeah, the commissioner's disk is used for building your own teams and leagues. For instance, I can edit managers. We have profiles of all the major league managers built into the game.
What their strategy typically is in a game situation.
Exactly. You can even build your own manager by answering a series of about 60 questions. For instance, how often would you like to steal second base?
What about ballparks? What are something? And I see you can print baseball cards, it says on this thing.
Right.
Okay, show me the edited ballparks.
Editing ballparks. Now we have profiles of all the major league ballparks.
So if I wanted to see Fenway?
So Fenway Park, you see the height, so the fences, the distances, the prevailing winds, and then a little picture. You can see the green monster out in left field.
And I could lower the fence and experiment if I wanted to.
That's right.
All right, great. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, while computer games are great, the most they demand of your body is usually just good eye-hand coordination. But there are some computerized games that require much more.
Real golf indoors? Thanks to 486 computers, it's now possible. This is Top Golf in San Francisco, one of 40 computerized golf courses across the country marketed under the name InGolf. And some golfers say this is better than the real thing.
The major advantage of using the InGolf system in an indoor environment is that it allows you to control each shot very exactly, something that you can't do outside. For example, outside you'll have wind conditions changing constantly. You can set the wind direction and the wind speed on the computer and repeat that over and over again.
The players tee up on a golf ball that has a microprocessor inside. You hit the ball into a computerized image of a fairway on a computer screen about 10 feet away. The ball is then converted into a computer image on the screen, and it moves as it would on an actual golf course. Sensors inside the golf ball measure how high and how hard the ball was hit and display this data on the screen. While the computer simulation of golf may not be the game of choice for accomplished pros, it seems to be a great teaching tool for beginners.
We found that students can learn much more rapidly with this system than they can with an outdoor system. The main reason is that they can see graphically what is happening when they make the swing. They can see it both visually on the screen and by looking at the trajectory analyzer. They can get a quick picture of what's happening.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Sometimes a game starts out as a game, but ends up being much more. Two good examples are Railroad Tycoon from Microprose and Playmaker Football from Broderbund. Here to show us how they work are Bruce Shelley and Ed Batasoff. Bruce, this is a game, but I understand people are actually using Railroad Tycoon in business schools or as a real business simulation.
Well, I mean, I've had conversation with people about that. I'm not sure how widespread it is, but I know I've talked to some college professors who set up scenarios and have their students start over and play and try to run a railroad.
Is this basically what it is, a business simulation, or is it a kind of railroad game?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. You know, we designed it to be entertainment software, but it has a heavy business overtone to it. You're definitely got a lot of decision making to do, business decision making. And I think, you know, it lends itself to that kind of.
All right, show us the game a little bit. I think you can get tighter than that and sort of show us a close-up of the train.
You can see there's some trains running there. They're small. I'm going to zoom in on the city of Richmond, and a train will probably appear on the left-hand side.
Okay, so there's the track. And
right, I can build more track to the right towards.
There's the train coming.
There's a train
okay,
coming.
now suppose you wanted to build track to go to another city.
I'm building track.
So you're just laying down track there.
Right, I'm building track west. And
now, do I have a way of picking the different trains I would want to run that particular line? For
example? I can do that from this screen over here. This little window, I click, and it opens up a train report. And this has got a very old grasshopper on it. I could replace that engine with an American.
Right.
And I can change its schedule on this part of the screen down here. Instead of Charlottesville Junction into Richmond. Now, change the consist of the train.
Now, you say you have business decisions to make on this. What kind of reports, financial reports, can you get out of this thing?
Here's an income statement for the railroad. This is happy music, like I did a good job last year.
You're doing well running the railroad.
Right. Profits, things like that are shown here, losses. Sorry about this music.
It's okay, it must be doing a good job. Now, is the train going to go to the end of that track?
Well, it won't go until I tell it to go out there. I got to build a station out here
for it.
And change its schedule. Right now it's running, it's got a schedule that's already planned for it.
Okay, now there's other things I think you can do. You can like call your stockbroker and buy or sell shares in your company?
I can call the broker. There's the phone ringing. And this is my railroad at the top here, and these are railroads run by
your competitors.
Competitors, Jim Hill, Erastus Corning of New York Central, John Forbes of the Rock Island Line.
And this is one of these games you can play forever, I guess, right?
100 years.
I'm going to ask you to take the keyboard and mouse and move it over to Ed here and ask you a bit about Playmaker Football. Now, this is one of the cleverest football games I've ever seen, and it has kind of artificial intelligence built into it. Explain the thinking behind Playmaker Football.
Well, we wanted to provide the true coaching feel for players. We wanted to give them the experience that coaches have when they coach their own football teams.
So it's really a coach's game, not an arcade action game.
Really, it is. There's a lot of strategy and thinking behind it and play designing.
Run us through it.
Okay, there are basically 3 sections to the program. The first one here I'll show you briefly is the team draft, where you actually go in and create your own team. I'll open an existing team here that we've got. And
is this presumably pro-level football?
Well, yeah, it operates under the pro-level rules. And we have our offensive squad here, and if I click on the dog ear here, we'll show our defensive squad. Each of the players is rated on 5 different abilities, and I have ability points that I can distribute among all the players. The trick is, of course, I don't have enough abilities to make everybody a star, so I have to make certain trade-offs. You can also select your own jersey color if you want. And
these are fictional players. This is not, as we saw in Earl Weaver, real NFL teams.
Right, they are fictional teams. However, all the teams on the disc play out of their own playbook, and that's what I'll show you here next. This is the chalkboard editor, and this is really the hallmark of the product. What it lets you do is design plays for your football team just like a real coach would design. And here are the players here. They can either appear in these symbols, or I can bring down display options here and show them according to their positional abbreviation. I'll load in a play that's already been pre-designed here. And here's a little flare pass. And if I want to look at all the positional assignments, I can just click on that, and we can see where all the players go. If I want to try this play out on the practice field, I just call up the practice field. Let me load in a defense here just to test it, and then I can just click the button, and the players will carry out the actual play. And each of the interactions between the players is calculated in real time, so every time I run the play, it may not run exactly the same way, because some players miss their instructions, or they slip, or sometimes another player overpowers somebody else. One of the neat features of Playmaker Football is the artificial intelligence feature. When you create your own plays, you save them in a playbook, but the computer doesn't, and this is fine if you're going to call the plays yourself, but if you send your team to a friend and say, try my guys out, the computer is going to be controlling your team. It doesn't know what plays to call in what situations. It just knows there's a whole load of plays here in your playbook. you can describe the actual game situation individually for each down, for each play, by selecting these little boxes here.
So based on what the score is, where we are in the game, how many yards there are to go, where on the ball field you are, it will say, well, Ed would have done this.
Right, would have called this play here. And in addition to that, the real artificial intelligence portion is right over here, where you can tell the computer to sample the results of the play. If it's doing well, it will actually increase the priority during the game, and it will call the successful plays more often and the unsuccessful plays less often.
So the coach, the computer coach, learns by the plays that work well, he plays more often, and it doesn't work, he doesn't make it
exactly
as well.
And why don't we go?
Yeah, just let's see can we see a real looking?
We'll see it up here.
Game here for a second.
Okay. Basically, I just bring in two teams that are on the disc here. I'll bring in the Blazers. Now the crowd boos for them, they're the visitors, and then I'll bring in the Badmen, which is the team I created here.
Okay.
And we have a variety of options here that we can set. I'm going to make the ball a little bit bigger here.
Okay.
Computer's controlling the Blazers, and I'm going to control the Badmen.
Okay.
And now we're going to get the coin toss here. And I'll be able to choose. I win, so I'll choose receive. So now here are the plays. All the plays that I created have been put in this playbook, and these are the special team plays. So I'll say kick return.
Our time clock is ticking down here, Ed. So.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, there's your kickoff.
There's the kickoff, and the players are going. He catches the ball. He's running with the ball, and he gets tackled right there. And I get a play-by-play here. And when I want to play the game, basically all I do is select the kind of play, call the play, and it's gone. And there they go.
So you could play against the computer, play against a friend, and see how.
Or even have the computer play against the computer.
I'll go to Coach Yar. Gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, next, a look at new game media, the CD-ROM and the modem. We'll be right back. Some games like Monopoly and chess are classics, but they never change. In the computer game world, the basic game theme may stay the same, but the way you can play it keeps getting better and better. Here to show us the 5th generation of a classic called King's Quest is Stewart Mulder of Sierra Online. Stewart, we all remember the old adventure games. I mean, the painful text entry, even the primitive low-res graphics. I mean, this is another story, isn't it?
It is. For one thing, the old text-driven approach is gone now. In this game, your character is controlled through a series of icons, which you can see at the top of the screen. Everything's done with the mouse. There's no typing at all.
Let's make clear, we're playing the game now off a CD-ROM, not off magnetic media.
That's correct. Because of the CD-ROM's storage capacity, instead of reading text, you can hear the text spoken to you by real actors.
A small pen, a spotted cow quietly chews her cud.
So no little window, but the guy tells you what it is.
Right. And then for main characters, you'll get a little close-up window. For instance, the companion, the owl, is going to speak here in a minute.
Okay.
If you're going into town, I'll just wait for you here. I had a nasty run-in with a big dog once, and I feel much safer out here.
So this is a lot different than the old ways. All mouse, no typing in words. No, I didn't understand what you said.
Exactly. That makes the game a lot more accessible to people who couldn't type or didn't want to type.
And obviously great graphics, and look at that. I mean, it's like watching a cartoon on TV.
It's exactly what this is. It's interactive films. This is where you can step in and you control the film, what happens in the story, what your characters do, who they talk to, what they do in the world, and the pacing of the story.
Yeah. All right, so this is King's Quest number 5 on CD-ROM. I want to ask you now about the newest thing, which is the Sierra Network TSN, in which I can actually play a game with somebody else on the Sierra Network who's across the country somewhere.
That's exactly correct. That can be someone in San Diego, someone in New York, someone here in San Francisco.
Okay, while we were talking, you logged on to TSN, and we've got somebody named Tom in San Diego who we're going to play backgammon with, right?
That's correct.
All right, show me how this works.
Okay, Tom's just sent me a little text message.
Okay.
He's actually taken his first turn, so I'm going to click on the dice.
Okay, so we're blue or gray, whatever it is?
We're gray or white.
Okay.
And I've just rolled double twos, which is a very nice way to start.
So I move those guys up there,
Yeah, I think I'm going to...
Okay. And now Tom is seeing these moves on his computer in San Diego?
That's exactly correct.
Okay, so you got 2 more twos to go. Oh, good move. All right, Tom is grieving, and now it's Tom's turn.
That's correct.
And we're going to watch his pieces move. Do we see his dice roll?
We'll see him roll in a second.
Okay.
Also, you can, at any time, type in taunts.
There's his dice roll. He did a 3 and a 1, so he gets back on. So he's thinking about where to go. He takes his 1, and then he's got his 3 to go somewhere. That is really like playing backgammon with another guy right in front of you, isn't it? I mean, it's a
Exactly.
real board. Let me ask you, we only have about a little bit of time left. You have a kind of neat thing where whoever's on this network has a personal profile up there, and I can actually see what they look like and see what their interests are. Can you just show me how you get into that real quick?
Okay, what we'd have to do is go on out.
Sorry, Tom, you'll have to wait a minute.
Let's leave the game.
Yeah.
What we're going to see here is all the people that are online right now.
And if I want to decide who to play with.
Right, so I might look at Tom V.
Look at Tom.
Okay.
And that's actually his picture.
This is what Tom looks like, at least how he chooses to look.
His skill level in the different games.
Exactly correct.
That's great. Well, games are changing, aren't they, Stewart?
They sure are.
Thank you very much. That's our look at computer games. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, a special baseball edition with reviews of the newest and best baseball simulation software. If you're really serious about baseball, Miller Associates has a whole family of programs that let you do everything from manage your own team to actually draft players from a real database of minor leaguers. There are no graphics in this game, but the results are realistic and the game does come with audio play-by-play. If you like swinging the bat yourself, Electronic Arts has come out with an even better version of Earl Weaver Baseball. This newest edition includes a feature called The Director, which actually follows the field action and automatically changes shots, TV style. A new entry is Tony La Russa's Ultimate Baseball from SSI. Here, you can manage a real team through the entire season. You can also buy expansion discs, which let you play in classic ballparks, manage famous teams of the past, or draft Hall of Famers to improve your team. Accolade has just come out with Hardball 3, the latest version of its best-selling baseball game. It features Al Michaels doing play-by-play of your game, plus the ability to import teams from other baseball games like Earl Weaver or Tony La Russa. For the Macintosh, there is Micro League Baseball, the Manager's Challenge. This is really more a manager's game like APBA Baseball, where you're in charge of strategy, not actual play. And if you're a Los Angeles Dodgers fan, there is a quick play option that gets the whole game over with in 1 minute, so you can get back in your car. Finally, a brief look at the overall software titles for the past week. As has been the trend lately, operating systems and utilities dominate, with Procom Plus and WordPerfect the only real mainstream applications in the top 10. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Maria Gabriel.
Computer Chronicles has been made possible in part by Cardinal Technologies, makers of the PC-10 personal computer, IBM compatibility, and a small footprint integrated unit. Cardinal Technologies, computers designed and manufactured in the USA. And by PC Connection and Mac Connection, mail order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh. And the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Video cassette copies of this program are available. Computer Chronicles also publishes a companion newsletter containing details on products demonstrated, plus background information on program topics. To order a video cassette or a subscription to the newsletter, call 1-800-366-9484 or write Computer Chronicles. Please specify program subject for tapes. All orders include a free software program for auditing software use.